we are sitting in the youth office of the Archdiocese of Johannesburg. Now, what is the function of the youth office?
Well, if I had to get straight into the heart of it, Father, and this is a great passion for me. It's we want young people to know Jesus. We want young people to, as we like to say in the church, to know Jesus. And in knowing Jesus, for me, comes down to knowing how he loves you. What a big deal you are. How much you matter to him. And because you matter to him so much, he's got plans for you. And that's why he wants you to be active. He wants you to move on from loving or knowing him to falling more in love with him and serving him, especially in the Catholic context. And I say especially in the Catholic context because we know the reality. Our young people are running away. Well, many are. We don't want to generalize. Many young people are running to other churches, and some are just leaving the church altogether. And we know that post-COVID, getting them back has been particularly hard. But I believe any young person who's really encountered Jesus and seen how amazing, how beautiful he is, has an automatic impulse to do what Our Lady did. And this was the theme at World Youth Day this year. Rise and go with haste to go tell the world, this guy is awesome. You know, that's what we want. That's our core function.
Right. We will get back to that theme of World Youth Day.
Okay.
Now, somebody might be wondering, so when they're talking about youth, who exactly are they talking about? What age group are we talking about in the Catholic Church in particular?
Yeah. So according to, we follow the SACBC policy. So the bracket for young people, according to the Southern African Catholic Bishops' Conference, would be 13 to 35. And they categorize those further into, and I hope I'm remembering this correctly, they sort of call your 13 to 15-year-olds, they call those the teens. Then they call your 16 to 25-year-olds your actual youth. They call those the youth bracket. And then 26 to 35 is a young adult bracket. Believe me, this is a complex thing in many parishes. On the ground, this becomes complex because, you know, there's mentorship, there's older youth that try to mentor younger youth. So for some people, these demarcations, can I call it, they don't really work. But we always tell them that you go with the Spirit, you pray, and you see what works. We do need to get age appropriate with certain things. So let's say we're talking theology of the body. You can't tell a 13-year-old things that you would tell to married couples or engaged couples.
Exactly.
So that's just a small example, Father. So we do ask young people to just be age appropriate in the way you approach it.
Okay, I understand that. I suppose, yes, it can't be strictly cast in stone. Though you might need to be flexible here and there with regard to certain content, especially. It might fit certain age group and some of the people on the other age group as well. So yeah, it not being cast in stone, but it helps with direction as to where we are going, who we are trying to target in terms of the content, I suppose. Yeah. So we saw you in St. Joseph Primrose this weekend. What was the meeting about?
So that was what we call our World Youth Day reunion. And it has become quite a tradition. And it's a beautiful one, Father. It's supposed to be with His grace, but we know our Archbishop's a busy man. And he sadly had to decline being present this time. The idea of a World Youth Day reunion is really, it's dialogue between the young people and the Archbishop, where they can say to him, Your Grace, this was our experience. This is what we got from World Youth Day. And I must say, I've always admired our Archbishop for his willingness to listen. I've noticed he actually loves to engage with young people. He likes to challenge them. At one of our World Youth Day reunions, I think after coming back from Krakow, Poland, he actually made the effort to put on the T-shirt of the event. And he put on like 15 rubber bands on his arm, that you collect, because that's a big thing at World Youth Day.
Oh, okay.
And he made that effort. He made that effort to show them, I'm interested in you. I'm interested in what you love. And so it really is a space about dialogue and encounter. So even in his absence, our vicar for youth, Father Abel Maluleka, he was present, although he couldn't catch most of it. But His Grace also, he did make the request we capture it appropriately. So I don't know if you noticed, I was also moving around with a camera. Well, I I gave the duty to someone else because I'm a bit tired. I always do. So our good brother Mikhail, he walked around with our little microphone and our phone. He captured stories, and I'm very excited to share that with His grace. So that's what it's about: seeing each other again, which you can imagine is lovely for pilgrims to see each other again, and then sharing our experiences and dialoguing, discussing each other.
Right. I think I find that very interesting and encouraging that you have these reunions after the World Youth Day, because you risk losing contact with each other if you wait then for the next one to come. Then that's when you start regrouping. So from your experience though, you've been to more than one World Youth Day. So when you look at this one, and let's just say the previous one in Panama, so what was your experience when you compare the two of them?
Well, you know, the one thing that I hold dear to my heart is one that many young people struggle to embrace. In Panama, as we did in World Youth Day, like World Youth Day Brazil, so this was my fourth one, so I've got a good few to compare. We had the comfort of an hotel, and one of the sort of underlying motives of many of the young people I already find is, I just want to go on a trip overseas. You know, I'm eager to, right? So it's not that they're not excited to see the Pope and that kind of stuff, but it's almost like you can sense there's just an excitement here of, oh, I get to travel, I get to see the world. And for me, putting young people in hotels, we don't help them in that matter. We've burnt our fingers over and over again, where they make it a holiday. They do not see Christ. They even lose interest in encountering the Pope. They think, nah, it's difficult anyway. It's messy. We're gonna sweat. We're gonna walk for kilometers. People are gonna rub against us. We're gonna get squashed. It's long lines. We can just be here in the comfort of our hotel. We can catch the news. We can watch it online, etc. In Portugal this time, we slept on the floor in classrooms. We had the discomfort. We even had cold showers. It was a hard knock, Father, for all of us. It was difficult. Nobody wants to be unrealistic and say, guys, it was easy. For some, it might have been. Some like camping, some like that kind of adventure. For the most part, it wasn't. So this World Youth Day was much more difficult in that regard. Yet, talking on this topic of reunion and reflection, and tell us now, what have you thought about since? I found that almost every person who has shared with me, now that they look back, say it was so fruitful. It was so fruitful to find God in that discomfort. It was so fruitful to find God in that messiness. It's the same reason we speak into as Catholics, how we speak about sacrifice, we speak about offering up, we speak about our Lenten seasons. And I like how when you look at these tutorials of what bishops and priests say about what is Lent really there for, why do you fast for, why do we embrace suffering for, that call to find beauty in suffering, to find Christ in the difficulty, in the difficult moments. And for me, I found that was more present this time. And even how they were united, because every time we've had these comforts in hotels, we always had issues with this unity. The group was very scattered. Once again, because of motives not being joined in together. There's not that impulse to support each other in the difficult time, because now it's easy and it's lax. You know, I'll enjoy my holiday, you enjoy yours. How much spending money do you have? I've got this much, etc., etc. In this cases, we came home every night at midnight, as you can imagine, sometimes even after. And you would amazingly just find this sense of community there in the school corridors. How they're all just chilling on the floor, no chairs, they're on the floor. Some brought out their blow-up beds, yes, fine. And they were chilling on the blow-up beds, but it was great to come back to that and see, wow, you guys look very joyful. You look like you're filled with the spirit of joy. I did not see that previously.
Right. So your advice here, Dylan, is if we were to host World Youth Day here, we would have to go that route if we want to have people to experience this sort of a pilgrimage, a feeling, not put them in comfortable places, but in such kind of places as where they can just be the simple selves.
Yes. Focus on the things that matter. And I think, Father, it's good that you asked that. We had our little pilot, didn't we, in Durban, World Youth Day 2017. All the youngsters were in hotels. I'm sure you might have heard some of the stories that came from that. I would hope lessons are learned. If people want to book hotels, let them. but I don't think it should be promoted.
Right. Now, talking about that experience you had in Durban, if we were to host the World Youth Day here, where would you prefer that it be?
That's a good question. I think there's potential probably in most of our metros, Father. Many people are always saying Cape Town, simply because of infrastructure, I think. We know it's the tourist hotspot. We know it's beautiful. We're proud of it. We call it our mother city. So I think we all want the world to see, this is beautiful. Gosh, I think Joburg is equally capable. And we could probably say the same for Durban.
Okay.
So it is that's a tough one for me to answer. To give you one city. I'm a fan of Cape Town, but I'm just going to be biased.
So then the people would say, okay, fine, we can see Joburg has got infrastructure and all that. But where is the ocean? You see.
Good point.
I think that is one of the elements that you find in most of the World Youth Days, except when you go to Rome, it might be too far from the sea itself. Right. But I think there's something about the sea and people coming to World Youth Day. So
good point, Father.
So what I would like to mention here is, maybe we may not realize, but the World Youth Day, and I think it only, is what we can term the World Cup of the Catholic Church. Because there is no other event that pulls everybody except this one. See?
Well said.
So are there any plans in the pipeline to try and bring the World Cup here?
You mean the Catholic one?
The Catholic one.
Just making joke. No, of course, I'm joking, Father. From what I hear, no. We actually even heard murmurs. I think this was really, I don't know who spread this, but we really started hearing things about, you guys must prepare to hear South Africa at the end of World Youth Day, announced as the next. And I must tell you, Father, most of us were skeptical, because the national chaplain himself, Father Mtimbeni, I think when he was asked, in fact, Archbishop, when he was asked at our retreat for World Youth Day at Bosco, the young people were very interested. They said, well, you're the bishop, so that means you chat with the other bishops. Tell us what you are thinking. And what we got from him was it's a not yet. I don't think they closed off to the idea, as in never ever. But from what we hear, they don't think we're ready. I think, Father, what intimidates even me is perhaps the fact that one kind of really gets a sense that the Catholic faith is not in the blood of South Africans. And some would obviously say, yeah, but our church is young, so maybe that's obvious. You look at numbers that they had in Australia. As we know, Australia is also deemed, kind of like South Africa, a Christian nation, but not a Catholic nation. Mm-hmm. And some people were saying, you saw the numbers there. I think there were 500,000. You would have thought many people would flock to Australia. Maybe some people are concerned that there will be too much hostility towards this Catholic event in a non-Catholic country. Mind you, I don't think that's something that should stop us. This is just me thinking out loud as to, I wonder why the bishops would feel we're not ready. Is it infrastructure? Are they afraid that the government won't cooperate? Because believe you me, an event like this, as you rightly say, World Cup level, if you don't have the government, if you don't have the country working with you, it's going to be an issue. And Father, I'd like to make a point here. We kind of got that sense from the Portuguese community. I wouldn't say all around. Our Days in the Diocese experiences was in the province of Portugal. So we went to Porto. We felt love. We felt really the spirit of hospitality in the Catholic sense of the word. It's beautiful. And then we got to Lisbon, which is considered a very globalized, more main. And I tell you, for the most part, we sense that those people do not want us there.
Yeah.
Right? So this is just something I want to speak into also of when we say hostile, we're not just talking about infrastructure. We're not just talking about corruption and all issues of South Africa. We also wonder if our South African community will be welcoming.